16 is now the number of portal additions for the Texas Longhorns. Latest came down late yesterday with word that Akron University, I'm from the mean streets of Akron, the Zips, Texas has signed Akron linebacker transfer Marcus Boswell. And he's going to return home. He went to Lake Travis. To Lake Travis, 19 tackles as a freshman. We assumed, and we talked about, Texas will be looking for linebacker depth after adding Rasheem Biles, the Pitt linebacker, who will be a walk-in starter and impact player on their defense, to go with Ty Anthony Smith. But Boswell brings depth to the position. He's a freshman. So, again, we see Texas doing a little bit of both, right? Trying to, plug holes, immediate needs, impact players like Cam Coleman and, Rasheem Biles and the right tackle from Wake Forest that we talked about last week. The right tackle will come in and start to allow Brandon Baker to move inside. This is a depth piece who's coming back home to bring some athleticism to the linebacker room. So that's 16 now.
Yeah, and the position group you needed, right? I think that was a must. I think going into the weekend, we said, watch out for the linebacker room. They're going to need some help there. Obviously, they're bringing in some guys. Atkinson's going to be a huge addition for sure, but still young. 18 years old, and you still need to get some guys that played some football. Good to get a local guy as well who was playing in the MAC, like you said, up there in Akron.
It's a legacy because his father was a track star at Texas back in the day. So 16 commitments. Also, if you missed it, Longhorns have retained another defensive back who entered the portal that's come back, and that's Warren Roberson. So that's 4 now. Guys who entered the portal that came back at the secondary spot. Derek Williams, Wardell Mack, Kobe Black, and Warren Roberson, which is huge for the depth in the back end. No doubt about that. So Texas football, winter condition. One other note from Texas, reports over the weekend that Trevor Goozby, who's going to be your starting left tackle, had surgery and will not participate in the winter workouts. He's had shoulder surgery. He should be fine to get ready for the regular season and the season. But we know last year they didn't have a spring game. They'll probably do more like mini camps, and spring practices will be, what it will be.
Similar to what it was this
But Trevor Goozby will be back and fine for the regular season.
There we go.
On the hardwood, basketball. Tough loss on Saturday night for Texas men. Bucky ball, they call it. Yep. Bucky McMillan and his Aggies came in town, beat Texas 74-70. The zone defense that A&M put out there really, Matas Bocatitis only had 3 points in the second half. They had a hard time getting him the ball. And then A&M just couldn't miss in the second half.
No, they couldn't.
Every time they threw it up, it looked like it found the bottom of the net, and that's credit to them. But, Texas's momentum, they needed that victory, and the Aggies get it. Aggies are having a heck of a run here.
They are. With Bucky ball, like you said.
Bucky ball is, they're in the
legit
mix. I think they're 4-1 now, and their one loss was at Tennessee in overtime to Rick Barnes' team, and they come into Austin and get a win where Texas had momentum. That zone defense was a factor. Jack, you were at the Spurs game, so I don't know if you got to see this game.
That's right. I did not.
You got to see Anthony Edwards pour 55 in.
Yeah, it was great. I didn't have to watch Texas basketball and get mad, which is what I would have been doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Texas women yesterday, this seems like a misprint, but after losing back-to-back games.
We saw, I don't know about this, but we saw them winning this game big time.
The Texas women came in and beat the Aggies on the women's side 80-35.
Damn.
80-35. So, take your frustrations of losses at South Carolina and LSU out on that group. So there you go. Horns at Half Past, brought to you by Dr. Greg Eckert. He's my dentist, and he wants to be yours. He would love to be yours. And I mentioned, did you hear this? Did you see this? How about this play? Right before the half in Denver on Saturday, one of the Longhorns balling out this weekend. Here we go.
There to make the outcut.
On 2nd and 10, he's rolling, planting, going. Here you go, Tony, to the end zone. They got it! What a call! It's Humphrey hauling it in.
All right, so little Jordan Humphrey with the touchdown. And by the way, that's on, if you're a Bills fan, I know you had an injury in that situation, but when they're playing for a field goal and you give up a touchdown over the top, that can't happen, Sean McDermott.
No, it can't.
Because Josh Allen's in tears for his performance, but at the same time, it's kind of like the DeMeco Ryans debate with Houston. The coach has known some of this too. You can't give up a touchdown late in the half like that when that was really the ball game. Denver is playing to kick a field goal before the half. They take one shot, and your defensive backs blow it, and you give up 7, and then Josh Allen fumbles right before the half, and they kick a field goal. That's a 10-point swing.
Right.
And then Josh Allen fumbles coming out of the half. and they kick another field goal. I mean, those are you can't
It's
make
the game
that
you
up.
lost by 3 in overtime.
Yeah.
Right? I mean.
Oh, man. And that, again, it's hard to, say, the finger point at Sean McDermott, but it's year after year. Right. And it's what I'm starting to think with D'Amico Ryans, too, which we'll talk about coming up. Because, again, C.J. Stroud was awful yesterday, but there were a lot of mistakes that football team made yesterday in critical moments that cost them that game. But Texas now with the most players on NFL active rosters remaining.
Wow. How about that?
Texas has 10 players still playing to go to the Super Bowl. Alabama 9, LSU, Michigan, Ohio State 7. But Texas with 10. And if you add players that are not active but are on the either injured or on the practice squad, 13. So Patriots have Brendan Schooler. Broncos have Jahdae Barron. Sam Ehlinger, who's now your backup quarterback in Denver.
He's activated, right?
He's one play away from being in the game in the AFC Championship game this weekend. Little Jordan Humphrey just caught that touchdown pass you heard. P.J. Locke, Malcolm Roach had a fumble recovery in the game. One of the Josh Allen turnovers. Brandon Jones is on IR there, the defensive back. Seahawks have Byron Murphy, Michael Dixon, and Quandre Diggs, who's on the practice squad, but Byron Murphy's a starter. Michael Dixon's an all-pro punter. And then the Rams have Jordan Whittington, Poonaford, and Big Bill Norton.
Poonaford, did you see this? Some of the Rams last night were putting cayenne pepper in their socks to keep them warm. Apparently that works. Poonaford was one of those Rams.
Cayenne pepper in your socks?
Cayenne pepper. Apparently it works.
Yeah.
Warms up your feet.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
I had no idea.
Yeah, Poonaford, baby.
Poonaford, a Puna Matata.
Cayenne pepper.
Yeah, one of those Charlie Strong commitments. We found him. And undersized, but man, you can't block him. It's like a fire hydrant.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Those are one of the good things that the Rams, their defensive line played very well, including Poonaford.
All right. As for the Longhorns, so with 16 commitments, we told you the portal closed on Friday. And so there's a lot of narrative out there that the portal's over, and no, the people are still in the portal. There'll still be commitments. You've now lost your chance to enter your name into the portal. I mean, that's the obvious
spring
thing.
Portal, obviously.
Also, Noah, we told you here in college football, because tonight we have the national championship game that will decide the national champion, and we'll make some picks on it. But we're also keeping an eye on the deadline of January 23rd, which is 4 days from now. Mm-hmm. We've told you that's the deadline ESPN has given to the Big Ten and the SEC to come up with a new format for the playoff moving forward. If they can't come up with something, it's going to stay where it's at with 12, and it'll remain exactly like it is now, I think is the case. As of yesterday, Rosh Dellinger of Yahoo Sports says there has not been an agreement, and he doesn't think there's going to be. The Big Ten is set on 24 teams.
Jeez.
The SEC is set on 16. And as we say, the other 8 power schools in Notre Dame have given those 2 power conferences the power to control this thing, and they can't even agree. Like, they're at an impasse. I don't know. Deadlines make deals, and we're now 4 days away from that deadline. It's the 19th of January on this Monday, MLK Day. ESPN has given them, and they actually extended the deadline from early December of 2025 to now. And because obviously they have to make arrangements of what that's going to cost, where we're going to put it, what's the format going to look like, how many games do we have. They have to build a plan. Same time, so far, it doesn't feel like the SEC and the Big Ten
seeing eye to eye.
An agreement.
Yeah. 24 would be a lot of teams. We already have a lot of teams, as we know that. 16, I think if they're going to go to one, if you do 16, is then they're going to be 24-5 or whatever years later. Who knows? But I mean, I'm more on the side of the 16 if you're asking me. Well, I don't think 24 is necessary.
And you have to think ESPN is on the side of more.
Of course.
Because more games, more money.
Yes.
More games to put on television.
Right.
Same time, SEC
4 more games.
Because, again, as I've said, I when they went to 12, because I was a fan of 8, we all covered college football for a long, long time. I thought 8 was the number, but what they did with 12 allowed everybody to have a seat at the table, I felt like, as far as the non-power conferences, and Notre Dame has their chance. And as I've said, for me, the current system rewards the top 4 teams. Like, they get the reward of the bye. Now, whether that's a good thing or not, and we know that the top 4 have been 1-7 now in their playoff games.
Just Indiana.
So that needs to be adjusted and looked at. Same time, the 4 best get the reward of being the 4 best in a week or the weeks off. And then the remaining 8, which are at-large bids, get to play the 4. Right? So you
if you
12,
are 5 to 8, you get a home field advantage.
You guys proved yourself, right? In a playoff game. And if you're the higher seed, you get to host it.
Right.
But you still get to prove yourself.
Which is a great concept.
So then
I think the home
4
games are a great idea. I still love that concept.
So I think that, to me, that's what I like about the current system. But at the same time, it is proven over 2 years to not be a benefit to the best 4 teams.
Right.
That they, Indiana's this super team of some kind that have overcome all of it. They're the only, of the top 4 seeds the last 2 years to win that game after a month off, and now they're going to play for a national title tonight. And obviously the Big Ten has a chance to win their 3rd straight national title. Ohio State, Michigan, and now Indiana against the Miami Hurricanes. SEC not in it again. Who do we like tonight, by the way? Do you have a rooting interest favorite pick?
Rooting only because I have financial on it. I took Indiana before the playoffs started to win it. They were the 3rd best odds. So that's the reason I'm rooting for Indiana here. I do think it's going to be, if I'm going to fade on a side, I think it's going to be closer than people think. That's a big number. It's a big number, 7.5, 8 points. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to go with IU to win it, but I think Miami's going to keep it within a touchdown.
-7.5.
That's a lot of points against.
One of those sucker plays.
Right. Indiana is also one of those teams. I mean, they've averaged, by winning by 34.5. I just think Miami is one of those teams with how they play, their physicality on the line. They're going to be able to match up well. You know what it's going to come down to, I think? Mistakes.
Well,
Miami does a great job of making mistakes, and Indiana doesn't.
Yeah, mistakes will decide it. We saw that all these playoff games over the weekend. But yes, Indiana doesn't make them.
No.
Miami makes them a lot.
Yes, they do.
And Indiana enters, undefeated. They have a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback who doesn't make mistakes, and playing in his hometown. And as you said, they've outscored their opponents so far in the playoffs 94-25.
Yeah.
Pretty
and if
good. You're going to say the game will be decided by mistakes, well, which team makes mistakes, which team doesn't? And did you hear Curt Cignetti over the weekend? Yeah, Curt Cignetti's trying to get his team because, there's a lot of, they're in Miami. They're doing the banquet circuit a little bit. They're getting ready. But here's Curt Cignetti saying it's time to lock in.
And I've witnessed quite a bit of sentimentalism throughout the week from some of our seniors who we've been with quite a long time. I think it's time to sharpen the saw now, throw those warm fuzzies out the door, that sentimentalism. It's time to go play a game against a great opponent. We got to have a sharp edge going into this game. And, you don't go to war with warm milk and cookies.
You don't go to war with warm milk and cookies.
The story has been warm milk and cookies for Indiana being, the worst team we know in the Power 4 ever in college football from their record. So it is that, right? It is kind of this season has been unbelievable for Indiana, how dominant they've been. But again, you got Miami who's playing in their home field, right? I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of IU fans doing their hoo-hoo-hoosh or chant, but nobody's really talking about Miami here and what they've done. I mean, they've beat Ohio State. They go out. They made a lot of mistakes. They beat the Aggies, obviously, in Kyle Field. They go out and make a ton of mistakes, and that game should not have been as close as it was against Ole Miss, but they get out of it. And they're sitting here looking more than a touchdown underdog. That to me is motivation for a team that has a lot of great players, more players that'll be in the NFL than even this Indiana team. They have the guys that they can do it, and a quarterback who's got a ton of experience. I'm just saying, watch out, because Indiana's been fantastic. But if they let this happen, which I don't know if a Curt Cignetti team will let the warm milk and cookies thing happen, I just think that this is going to be a closer game than people think. That's how I feel.
Well, I hope so.
We hope so, right?
Get a good game. I think that would be the key, because Indiana hasn't had a lot of good games.
No, they
They've
haven't.
been pretty one-sided, no doubt about it.